After the defeat at Qalqaljid Sands in early 1203, Temujin and a small band of followers fled to a small body of water somewhere in southeastern Mongolia known as Lake Baljuna, where he would spend most of the summer of 1203. This looked to be Temujin's lowest moment, as the small nation he had built over the last 2 decades had seemingly been obliterated by his enemies. At what was to be known as the Baljuna Covenant, Temujin turned to the loyal few who remained with him, eating horseflesh boiled in its own skin, drinking the muddy water of the lake, and swearing an oath of loyalty. Muslims, Nestorians, Khitans, Kereids, all of these were among those who were with Temujin at this meeting, his only relation supposedly being his brother Khazar. The Baljuna Covenant is not mentioned at all in the secret history of the Mongols, which says only that he fled to the Baljuna area after his defeat at Qalqaljid Sands, glossing over this seemingly important event entirely, which led some to believe that it did not happen at all. However, Francis Woodman Cleves, translator of the secret history of the Mongols, argued persuasively for its existence, noting its references in many Chinese sources, as well as the secret history tending to leave out a lot of things we know for sure existed. So it's not really up for debate anymore. Back to our friend Khazar. As mentioned before, he may have joined up with Jamukha and Toghrul against Temujin, with sources noting that his family was in Toghrul's camp, Rashid al-Din stating that they had been captured by Kereid warriors. But this would not explain what happened next. After the defeat at Qalqaljid Sands, Khazar, along with his son Toku, left Toghrul to find Temujin, finally stumbling across him after much hardship. But why would he leave Toghrul if he had joined up with him? Well, the fragile coalition against Temujin had basically dissolved into infighting and assassination attempts. The others may have wanted to take the throne of Toghrul for themselves, and the apparent defeat of Temujin, the common enemy which had bound them together, took apart the impetus for the coalition. Toghrul and his Kereids were isolated, and Khazar probably figured that his chances were better with his brother than with that sinking ship. A few tribes as well by this point, such as the Ongarat and Korulas, I don't speak Mongolian, had joined up with Temujin as he was promising reward for those who remained or decided to be loyal to him at this point. Many, including Khazar, probably figured that Temujin would be able to overcome his divided enemies one by one. Anyways, Khazar returned in rough shape, and Temujin, who had been busy making plans, found a way to make use of Khazar. He had a message sent to Toghrul, pretending to be Khazar, stating that he had failed to find Temujin and wished to be taken back by Toghrul. Toghrul was happy to hear this, who sent a messenger, an envoy named Iturjin, to bring him back and relay his message. Temujin had the man captured and brought to Khazar. According to the secret history of the Mongols, Khazar then executed him without a word. This had been a test of loyalty, and by forcing him to kill the man, Temujin prevented him from being able to return to Toghrul again, effectively tying up a loose end. To spread dissent among the coalition, Temujin also had sent letters to Jamukha, Toghrul, the Sengamilka, Altan, and Quachar, reminding Toghrul of his oaths of loyalty and generally spreading dissent among the fragmenting coalition. It is important to note that the timeline of all of these events is debated over, and we don't know for sure. It changes depending on each source. But that really only matters for specialists, as the general events remain consistent throughout. By the end of the summer, Temujin had gathered his strength sufficiently, and his enemies had been effectively separated enough that he felt he was strong enough to strike back. Toghrul, the poor old fool, was busy having a feast when Temujin's horde suddenly rode upon them. 3 days and nights of vicious fighting ensued, but the Ong Khan's luck had finally run out, and he and his son were forced to flee Temujin's fury, while the majority of the Kereid surrendered and were absorbed into the Mongols. A few groups fleeing to Jamukha and the Neman. The Sangamilka would flee to the Tangut kingdom, the Jijia, then to Tibet, and finally to Kashgar, where he would be murdered a few years later, spending the rest of his life on the run from Temujin's forces. And old Toghrul fled to the Neman after his defeat in autumn 1203, where he was allegedly killed by a Neman patrol who did not recognize him in a case of mistaken identity, and his severed head was taken to the wife of Tayang Khan, Gurbasu, who will come up later. And Tayang Khan then smashed it to pieces after thinking he saw it move. That is probably just Mongol propaganda, but the point remains. With the defeat of the Kereids, Temujin now only had one major obstacle between him and domination of the Mongolian steppe: Jamukha and his new coalition with Tayang Khan of the Neman and a few remaining tribes. This final confrontation would determine the fate of not just Mongolia, but Asia and the world as a whole.